Illari is coming to comp on August 24th alongside the new flashpoint map Suravasa. The most important aspect of her kit is her Healing Pylon, so here's the best pylon spots for every point on the map. The best pylon spot for point A, Markets, is up on this wall across from the side you're attacking from. This is also the most important point since it is always played first in a match. The reason this pylon is so strong is because it reaches your teammates that are fighting for the central square position, which is where your team should be fighting. It is also very difficult to see for your enemies, as the enemies have to push too far up in main to see it, and it is completely invisible for the flank route. One big issue with this pylon spot is that you have to be on point in order to place it, so I prepared a lineup that makes placing this pylon completely safe. Simply stand in this corner and aim for the cross in the beams, and the pylon will land in the right spot. And here it is from the other side.
Healing Pylon out.
Point B, Garden, requires a bit of thought when setting up your pylon. If you think the enemies are approaching from staircase, place the pylon on the top left of the arch. If you think the enemies are approaching from the opposite arch, place your pylon on the top right. If you're not sure where they're approaching from, I recommend the top right pylon since it has a full view of back sight, which is where you may be playing for cover. Here are the enemy's lines of sight on the pylon, showing where each spot is stronger or weaker, depending on where the other team is pushing from. Now's a good time to mention that the healing and hitbox of the pylon actually extends to the glowing orb at the end of it, not just the middle base. Point C, Palace, is the first really open point. Similarly to Garden, you'll have to change your pylon location depending on where the enemies are coming from. If the enemies are coming from the double halls, you can either play high ground and set up your pylon on the back of the center fountain, or if your team is more brawly, you can put the pylon above the choke. If the enemies are pushing from the main choke, I recommend you set up a pylon to the side of the choke and use your outburst to play high ground. If you're not sure where the other team is coming from, you can play a safer pylon that sees less of point but won't get shot down easily. Point D, Temple, is the only point in Suravasa that has absolutely no cover on point, so there are no good spots to place the pylon on point. If the other support on your team is playing a low heals hero like Zen or Lucio, you're going to want to place your pylon above the main choke you are attacking or defending. If you can afford to play a bit more isolated from your team, you should try to hold the back of point, placing a pylon on the overhang so that it isn't visible from point or for attackers approaching opposite you. If you get pressured in this position too hard, then pick up the nearby health pack or use your outburst to return to your team. For point E, Ruins, position your pylon to be shielded behind the two walls covering the central choke, as the enemies must be very exposed on point in order to see it. Afterwards, you can either play in the back of point, where you'll have better angles for taking shots, or just stick with your tank to get more heals with alternate fire. Okay, that's all. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helped you. Please like the video if you learned something here, and check out my other videos if you want to learn more.